Hello students, myself Professor Monali Mahajan from Computer Engineering Department, Kekewag Institute of Engineering Education and Research, Nashik, Maharashtra, India. Today we will see one of the topic of high performance computing, that is dichotomy of parallel computing platforms. So this is the agenda of today's lecture. That is, first we will see what are the objectives and outcomes of this lecture. Then we will see introduction to dichotomy of parallel platforms. Then we will see control structure of parallel platforms and communication models used for parallel platforms. So these are the objectives of today's lecture. That is, to explain control structures of parallel platforms, then to compare various parallel platform architectures, to explain communication model of parallel platforms. And after studying this lecture, what are the outcomes? So learner will be able to analyze applications using parallel platform architectures and to apply communication model of platform to study applications. So let us start with the first point, that is dichotomy of parallel platforms. So dichotomy is mainly based on the two organizations. One is logical and another is physical organization. Logical organization represents the programmer's view of the platform, whereas the physical organization refers to actual hardware organization of the platform. As their name indicates, logical is a programmer's view, whereas a physical means an actual hardware organization. So let us start with the control structure of parallel platforms. Parallel tasks can be specified at various levels of granularity. At one side, each program in a set of programs can be viewed as one parallel task, whereas on the other extreme, each instruction in a program can be viewed as a parallel task. So between these two extremes lies a range of models for specifying the control structure of programs and the corresponding architectural support for them. So, control structure of parallel platforms can be studied at two extremes. That is, one extreme is each program can be viewed as a parallel task, whereas in another side, the individual instruction in each program can be viewed as a parallel task. So let us see example of control structure of parallel platforms. Here consider the code segment that is adding two vectors. That is, for loop is used for I equal to 0 to I less than 1000 I plus plus C of I is equal to A of I plus B of I. So A and B are the two vectors which are added using for loop, and the resultant vector is C. In this example, various iterations of the loop are independent of each other. That is, as we can observe here, that is, I is varying from 0 to 1000. So I will have the values as 0, 1 and so on. And these two vectors are independent of each other. That is, A of 0 is one element, another element is B of 0. So these two elements will be added at the same time and C of 0 will be calculated. Similarly, A of 1 and B of 1 are also independent of each other. Therefore, these can be added, executed independently, and resultant will be C of 1. So, if there is a mechanism for executing the same instruction, in this case, which adds on all the processor with appropriate data, we could execute this loop faster. That is, this all C of 0 to C of 1000 can be added parallelly. That is, one time C of 0 equal to A of 0 plus B of 0. At the same time, C of 1 is equal to A of 1 plus B of 1 and so on. As the values are independent of each other, the values can be added executed independently of each other, and they can be added parallelly, and the resultant vector can be calculated at the same time. So let us see one of the architecture that is used for the various purpose, that is single instruction and multiple data stream. So processing units in parallel computers either operate under the centralized control of a single control unit or work independently. In architectures referred to as single instruction stream, multiple data stream, a single control unit dispatches instruction to each processing unit. In SIMD parallel computer, the same instruction is executed synchronously by all processing units. As we have seen in previous slide, that is C of I is equal to A of I plus B of I, where I is varying from 0 to 1000. So this C of I can be calculated or can be executed concurrently. That is C of 0 is equal to A of 0 plus B of 0. At the same time, C of 1 is equal to A of 1 plus B of 1. At the same time, C of 2 is equal to A of 2 plus B of 2. So here, which is the instruction that can be dispatched to all the processor and executed concurrently is the addition. That is A of 0 plus B of 0. So add instruction can be dispatched to all the processor and can be executed concurrently by all of. So let us see how single instructions and multiple data works. So this is the block diagram of SIMD architecture where one global control unit is there and multiple processing elements are there. So here, as we have seen in a previous example, the add instruction can be distributed to all the processors. So these are all the processing elements and there is one global control unit. So this is global control unit which is responsible for managing all these processing elements, and there is interconnection network to have the interconnection between different processing elements. So we continue with the same example. Add instruction will be distributed to all the processing elements and all the processing elements will calculate the resultant vector. That is, this first processing element will work on C of 0 is equal to A of 0 plus B of 0. Second will work on C of 1 is equal to A of 1 plus B of 1 and so on. And finally, all these processing elements will be managed by the global control unit. Now, in contrast to single instruction multiple data stream architectures, computers in which each processing element is capable of executing a different programs independent of the other processing elements are called as multiple instruction stream and multiple data stream computers. So here multiple instructions are there and multiple data streams are there. So a simple variant of this model is also known as single program multiple data model, which relies on multiple instances of the same program executing on different data. So in next slide, we will see the MIMD architecture. So here, this is the block diagram of MIMD architecture where we can see that with each processing element there is control unit. With every processing element there is control unit which is used to process the multiple instructions and multiple data, and one interconnection network that is to have the communication between different processing elements. So if we compare the single instruction multiple data and multiple instruction multiple data architectures block diagram, then in SIMD there was global control unit and different processing elements, that is global control unit and different processing elements, whereas in MIMD architecture processing element is itself having its control unit. So no global control unit is there. Each processing element is having its own control unit and interconnection network is common in both the networks. So let us compare these two models, that is SIMD and MIMD. As we have seen, in SIMD, there is only one global control unit. Therefore, single instruction multiple data computers requires less hardware as compared to MIMD computers. Because MIMD computers is having each processing element and one separate or one dedicated control unit to each processing element. Second comparison point is that SIMD computers requires less memory because only one copy of the programs need to be stored. This one copy of program is stored in global unit, and this global control unit distributes this program copy to all the control units and hence requires less memory. That is, whatever example we have studied, in that example the global control unit will dispatch addition instruction to all the programs or to all the processing elements, whereas in contrast MIMD computer stores the program and operating system at each processor. That is, each control unit and each processing element will calculate separately the addition of the vector. So SIMD computer requires less memory because only one copy of the program needs to be stored as compared to MIMD. The third difference is SIMD computers requires extensive design effort resulting in longer product development times. So SIMD requires design efforts with longer development times. Now in previous slides we have studied SIMD and MIMD architecture. Now in this slide we will study how conditional statements are executed on SIMD. And this will also illustrate one of the drawbacks of SIMD architecture. So we will execute or we will see a conditional statement if else. So as shown here in this slide, that is, one conditional statement is shown. If B equal to 0, then C is equal to A. Else C is equal to A by B. So if B is having 0 value, then C will have values of A, else C will have A divided by B. This conditional statement is executed in two steps. The first step is all the processors that have the value B equal to 0, that is first condition, will execute the instruction C equal to A. Whenever the processors are executing this B equal to 0, all other processors are idle. In the second step, that is in the else part, C is equal to A upon B is executed. So these are the two parts of these conditional statements. One is if and another is else. The processors that were active in the first step, that is in if step, now becomes idle in the else step. And this illustrates one of the drawbacks of SIMD architecture. So let us see in the next slide with the example how the processors becomes idle. So let us see the example of conditional statement, that is if B equal to 0, then C equal to A, else C is equal to A upon B. Here 4 processors are considered: processor 0, processor 1, processor 2 and processor 3. And all these processors are having some values, some initial values, and therefore the name of the figure is here as initial values. So A is 5 here, A is 4, A is 1 and A is 0. Values of B are also there, that is 0, 2, 1 and 0. And C is initialized as 0 because C is the resultant, or C is calculated depending upon the condition. That is, if B equal to 0, then C will have the value of A, and else C will have the value of A upon B. Now whenever the first statement is being executed, that is if B is equal to 0. Whenever this step 1 is executed, the condition that is checked is whether B is equal to 0 or not. So from these 4 processors, that is processor 0, processor 1, processor 2 and processor 3, we can observe here B is equal to 0 for 2 processors, that is processor 0 and processor 3. So this 2 processor will have updated value of C in the next step. So as we can observe here in step 1, that is here the 2 other processors are idle, processor 1 and processor 2. So this is the drawback of SIMD architecture. Whereas at the same time the value of C is updated for 2 processors, that is processor 0 and processor 3. So value of A is 5 in processor 0. Therefore, the same value is copied at the C. Therefore, C is equal to 5 because if B equal to 0, C equal to A. So here B is 0 and whatever value of A is there, that will be copied to the C and therefore the value is 5. Similarly here also the C is equal to A. So what is the value of A in processor 3? That is 0 and therefore C is 0. So as compared to the initial values and the step 1, in step 1, two processors are idle because their condition is not true. That is, B is not equal to 0 for processor 1 and processor 2. Whereas processor 0 and processor 3 are idle because B is equal to 0 for both of these processors. Now, whenever step 1 is executed, now in second step, else will be executed. That is, else C is equal to A plus B. C is equal to A divided by B. So in this case, whenever B is not 0, that means these two processors now are active, processor 1 and processor 2, whereas these two processors are idle, that is processor 0 and processor 3. Therefore, for else part, processor 0 and processor 3 are idle. So here processor 1 and processor 2 has updated their values as C is equal to A upon B. So A is here 4 divided by 2. Therefore 4 upon 2 is 2. Therefore C is updated here. That is C is 2. Similarly A upon B, that is 1 upon 1. So 1 upon 1 is 1. Therefore 1 is updated over here. So in step 1, the first step is executed C equal to A, and in that case processor 1 and processor 2 are idle, whereas in a second case, that is in else part, the other two processors are idle, that is processor 0 and processor 3. So drawback here is that any of the condition is executed, two of the processors are becoming idle. In first case, 1 and 2 are idle. In the second case, 0 and 3 are idle. And this is the one of the drawback of SIMD architecture, that is to execute the conditional statements. So in previous slides, we have seen which are the different models that are used for parallel architectures, that is SIMD and MIMD. But how these different parallel platforms can communicate with each other? So there are various communication models that are used for these parallel platforms. So in upcoming slides, we will see which are the different communication model of parallel platforms. So we will see two platforms. First is shared address space platform and the second is message passing platform. So first is shared address space. As its name indicates, the address space is shared. That is, the shared address space view of a parallel platform supports a common data space that is accessible to all processors. So one common or one global database or one global data space will be there that will be shared or accessible to all the processors. Processors interact by modifying data objects that is stored in this shared address space. So various processors interacts with each other by modifying the data objects that is stored in this shared address space. Shared address space platforms supporting single program, multiple data programming are also referred as multiprocessors. So SPMD, this is a variation of MIMD architecture, which is also referred to as multiprocessor. So memory in a shared address space platforms can be local or global, that is exclusive to the processor, that is separate to all the processor, or memory can be common to all the processors. So in previous slide, we have seen or we have started with shared address space. Shared address space architectures are UMA, NUMA. So first we will see UMA architecture, that is Uniform Memory Access. Why it is known as UMA? That is, if the time taken by a processor to access any memory word in the system, when that memory may be global or local, is identical, the platform is classified as uniform memory access. That is, the memory access time required for both the type of access, global or local, is identical. Therefore, it is known as uniform memory access. As shown in this diagram, the uniform memory access is there are two types of networks that are shown. That is, here processing element is there, interconnection network is there, and memory element is there. So this processing element and memory element will have the interconnection by using this network, and time taken will be equal. That is, to access this memory either local or global, the time will be same. Another variation of UMA is that with each processor, dedicated cache is there. This is dedicated cache for each processor. So the difference between these two architecture is, here processor is not having its own cache or dedicated cache. In this architecture, the processor is having its own cache. But in both the cases, the time taken by the processor to access any word in the memory, whether it is local or global, is identical. In the next slide, we will see non-uniform memory access multi-computer. So, this is another shared address space architecture, NUMA, non-uniform memory access. Why it is known as non-uniform? Because the time taken to access certain memory word is longer than the others. Therefore, the name is non-uniform memory access multi-computer. As we can see here, with the processor, there is dedicated cache and its own memory. So no separate memory as compared to the uniform memory access, and interconnection between this entire unit is done through this network. So the difference between UMA and NUMA is that UMA takes the same time, whereas in NUMA the time taken to access certain memory word may be longer than the others, and therefore the name is NUMA. The next type of platform is message passing platform. We have seen in previous slides the shared address space platform. This is the second type of platform, that is message passing platform. So the logical machine view of a message passing platform consists of pre-processing nodes, each with its own exclusive address space. So it is the most important point of message passing platform, that is, it is having its own exclusive address space as compared to the shared address space. So each of the processing nodes can either be in a single processors or shared address space computer, a trend that is fast gaining momentum in modern passing platforms. So in such a platforms, interaction between processes running on different nodes must be accomplished using messages, and hence the name is message passing. So there are different types of messages that are used to have the communication between different processing nodes, because each processing node is having its own exclusive address space. So in short, message passing platform uses different APIs or different messages to have the communication between different processing nodes. So in the next slide, we will see which are the different APIs or messages that are used by the message passing platform. So this exchange of messages in message passing platforms is used to transfer data, work, and to synchronize actions among the processes. As we have seen in a previous slide, that is, pre-processing nodes are communicating through exclusive messages or exclusive memory. So this this exchange of messages is used for various actions among the processor. In its most general form, message passing paradigms support execution of different programs on each of the P nodes. Since the interactions are accomplished by sending and the receiving messages, the basic operations in this programming paradigm are send and receive. The corresponding calls may differ across the APIs, but the semantics are largely identical. So these are the two APIs or two paradigms that are used to have the communication between different processing nodes, that is send and receive. So this is the use, or this is message passing platform. So in this entire lecture, we have started with the dichotomy of parallel platforms, where we have seen which are the different platforms that are used, that is SIMD and MIMD. We have seen the drawback of SIMD architecture, how the processors becomes idle. Then we have seen the two types of platforms, communication platforms. That is, one platform is shared address space, where we have seen the two architectures, that is uniform memory access and non-uniform memory access. And we have seen the other is, that is message passing platform. So thank you for listening this lecture. Thank you.